All right, so let's talk. So, hi, friends. This is your pal Scott, and today we're going to talk about Stranger Things, Season 2, Episode 1, Mad Max. And and today we're going to talk about Jim Hopper. So we're all back in Hawkins. Life in Hawkins has resumed, and we're past the initial bumps of all the terrible things that happened at the end of Stranger Things Season 1, Episode 8, um, where, 11 kills the Demogorgon and kills a whole bunch of the agents that Brenner brought. It was significant, right? And she did that at the Hawkins Middle School. Um, but now we're back with Hopper. Excuse me. And this gets very interesting in that Hopper now is doing his job, which is to be sheriff of Hawkins. And so one of the things we see him doing is he's getting into agricultural fights between farmers. And it's almost Halloween, and it's fall, and these farmers are like, "Hey, this guy's poisoning my pumpkin patches." It's like, what? And so he doesn't want to deal with this, but he also has realized that, he has to do it. One of the biggest issues that I think is really fascinating is a lot of times law enforcement is like, hey, I know what's going on here. And most of the time they do, but there's this 5%, 10%, 15% chance that they're wrong. And then they have to expend effort just to look like they're looking, right? But Hopper goes and he opens his eyes, and what he's seeing, and he very almost, within the first episode, he's like, oh, something's happening. And what's happening is that the impact of the upside down is still very real on Hawkins, and it's rotting organic material, right? And so that's what's happening in these pumpkin patches, and he's getting a sense that there's a pattern to this, and so he's setting up these flags in the forest to determine how these pumpkins are rotting, right? And if it had been another farmer that was going to, to harm their competitor commercially, it wouldn't have this pattern, but it does, right? So it has this pattern. The other thing that Jim Hopper is doing is he is connecting with Joyce Byers, right? Now, Joyce Byers has a boyfriend, right? So they can't be romantically connecting because she has a boyfriend named Bob Newby. And he gives her a little flack for that. But at this point, Jim Hopper and Joyce Byers are strong friends. And the reason why is they understand truths about the world that no one else understands, that almost no one else understands. They understand that they're living in a supernatural world where there's literally a gate to hell that exists within Hawkins, Indiana, right? And so this draws them together. And one of the things that Jim Hopper does is he is going with Joyce Byers to meet this new doctor, Dr. Sam Owens, at the Hawkins, Indiana lab. And they are treating Will Byers, but I put treating in air quotes. They're listening to their concerns. They're acknowledging that that Will has some after effects from having dealt with the upside down so directly, and having the shadow monster inside of him, right? And so they're attempting to support the family, but Joyce Byers is extremely demanding, right? And if she's not getting everything she wants, you're going to hear it, right? And so she's pushing back on Sam Owens, but Sam Owens is certainly not Brenner, right? Like, Brenner was this horrible person who, did experiments on children. And the idea is that Sam Owens has been brought in to shut this, to continue the study of the upside down, but not to create their own, denizens, like not create their own soldiers who can interact with the upside down, right? Children's soldiers, which is really a dark theme. But that's what 11 is, right? And at this point in this entire episode, we have not seen 11, but finally we do. And so at the very end of Stranger Things, Chapter 2, Season 1, Stranger Things, Season 2, Chapter 1, Mad Max, what we see is Hopper go back to his cabin in the woods, and there is 11, and she is alive, and she is being fathered now by Jim Hopper, but she's also being forced to live in secret. She doesn't have any friends. She stays in the cabin, and she's alive and she's safe, but she's extremely isolated. And and her life is a little better. She has Eggos, she has television, but also this is one of those things where if we have very little and then we get more, we're happy for a very short period of time, but soon we want all of it, right? And we could see that with her. She's like, hey, I'm alive, I'm safe, I have Eggos. I wasn't alive or safe. I certainly wasn't safe in the Hawkins laboratory, and I certainly didn't have Eggos, but it's still not enough. But it is a dramatic ending to episode 2, because we haven't seen 11 at all, and here she is, right? And it is fascinating. It's a powerful ending to the episode. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.